Welcome all back to iRoll Kings. Today I will be playing Persona 5 on the first day of my tracking for my timeline. It will be day by day, and I've done a lot of the background history work already. I will be skipping all flashbacks and stuff like that. It will be super detailed on what actually happens in the story. I hope that doesn't mind. I will explain things later. But as you can see in the background, not much happens this day. There's a lot of introductory cutscenes. I will be going day by day, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for... Oh yeah, right, this. Well, cutscene stuff. Well, thank you for watching iRoll Kings, and I'll see you all. Hello, everybody. Welcome to iRoll Kings. Today is Day 4 of my Persona 5 tracker. I won't go into too much detail what happened, plot-wise, but today we get signed into Success Academy. We get teased about some social links, and after a bit of conversation, we see a train credit. This is when most of the plot teasing stuff, if you know, you know, happens. We see like another social link group, but social links will be meeting, and also just get general plot info. This is the next stuff I'm looking for, but I thought I would show you guys anyway so you know what's happening. We also get our notebooks so we can start saving the game. That's it. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 3 of my Persona 5 tracker, and this is a very gutsy heavy day. We get our first introductions to the metaverse as the characters accidentally enter Kamoshida's castle. And also, after a bit of confusion, they also get captured. This leads to them getting to our character awakening to Persona and escaping. Also, our first combat is as a tutorial. We also, with the help of Morgana, escape the castle. I get a bit of, teasing about stuff to come. We get in trouble with the police, our teacher, and also make friends with Ryuji's Komodo. This is things to come, like meeting the other faculties and the other stuff to come. But we didn't do anything this day, and the TV didn't have much to say. We also get another introduction to Igor and the Velvet Room. Thank you for coming today. Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 4 of my Persona 5 timeline tracker. Today is the first day where you can get a classroom question. We get it right because we are very smart. This is also the second time we go to the metaverse, where Ryuji awakens to his persona. With his help, we easily beat the battle and move on to get ready for day 13. This is also where we get our first social link, shortly followed by our second. Not much happens this day, as it's still pretty hand-holdy at this point in the game. But still, I appreciate you all coming to watch. This is iRoll Kings, and with unlocking the next social link, I wish you all a good rest of your day. Hello, welcome back to iRoll Kings. Today is day 5 of the Persona Day Tracker. This is a really short video due to it being a very cutscene heavy day. This day we just asked around, and so I don't have as much to record. If you want, later on I can show you the timelines, but thank you all for coming, and this is iRoll Kings. Hello, welcome to iRoll Kings. This is day 6 of the Persona 5 day tracker. Today is another very cutscene heavy day, as it will be a good few days before we get to actually do anything. And this day we meet up with Morgana and we talk about the metaverse. So, in a few days we will be heading to Kamoshita's castle to steal his treasure. This is really all we do. We also meet up with Anne to talk about her trauma and set her up as a person who we'll be recruiting later. It's a very emotional moment, but after we have another conversation with Ren Ryuji on the phone, we go to bed. Thank you for coming. Hello everybody and welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 7 of my Persona 5-day tracker. This is one of the heavier and more cutscene heavy days where Anne's friend, Gumps, she will be fine, but sorry the video being a bit darker than the others. This is a moment of silence for her. Well, after we confront Mishima, the moon confidant, we will be heading to the palace for the second time. And also, this is some kind of deadline steps. Deadline would be followed for the rest of the game for the rest of this first period. During the second palace visit, and Tamaki awakens her persona. This makes our whole first team. It also unlocks her confidant. And at the same time, we bring Morgana home. Yay, we have a cat. And a stay-at-home nanny. Yeah, he's annoying. Well, with a bit of conversation, we unlock his confidant, make sure he goes fine, and then we head to bed. Thank you for... Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 8 of my Persona 5-day tracker. Today is a big heavy cutscene day, as we are preparing for the palace on day 18. But on this day, we decided to go to the doctor, and this is when we meet Takemi. This will not be a social link, but will let us buy medicine from her so we can buy healing items in the overworld. This is also when we get our hint to her social link, aka that she's selling under-the-table drugs. Fun. But we get caught because this is a terrible way to hide. Good job, Ren. But we talk to Ryuji and we set up for tomorrow's event. Here we go in and get some weapons. Thank you all for coming today. This is Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 9 of the Persona 5-day tracker. Today we meet up with Ryuji to prepare for the palace. He leads us to Iowa's gun shop so we can buy weapons. We had to convince him to let us buy weapons. If you come back here later, you can get the cutscene of him giving you a bag. I won't do that for a little while, but because I am lazy and forget to buy weapons. Well, Ryuji gives us some money and we buy some weapons. We text back with Anne to see how Gio is doing after a couple days ago's events. Morgana also teaches us how to use these tools and how to craft them. Well, thank you all for all your support in the previous videos. This is iRoll Kings, and I will see you all. Hello, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 10 of my Persona 5-day tracker. This is when we get to meet the other characters. This is Pro Joe, and he decided to play some baseball. Everyone besides our lazy character is cleaning their room. Most of the characters will be doing their own thing, but occasionally if they don't got anything to do, they will do the same thing. Like now, kindness, and there's nothing to do to increase kindness in a day until later in the game, so they just study up. Gutsy goes to meet Takemi and start her social link. This is really all you could do this day. You could also study in the library, but I decided this one was more important as due to raising your guts anyway. And starting one of the 2 social links that required guts. I was the other one, the other shopkeeper. And so, that's what we do. Charm her by goes to do his day job. He will be like the richest one here, as he will be, doing a job. But for our main playthrough today, we will be heading to the palace and get certain in-universe name of Panther. After some easy doing, we get all 3 of the will seeds and find our way to the treasure. This will be the end of the day, as don't do much grinding. And finally we go to Lazy, who just rushes to bed. Thank you for watching. Hello, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 11 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is another big day as we get another classroom answer. We get it correct because we are very smart. And no one gets to increase intelligence. But getting back to our guys, we start off with Pro Joe, who decides to go into the palace today. He was just a little late. He gets all the will seeds and finds his way to the treasure. This is pretty easy because he's a proficient Joe. And with that, he gets ready to send a calling card tomorrow. But before then, he gets a little tech conversation from his friends and makes some tools. Cutting back over to Noble Joe, and with a surprise appearance from Gutsy, we study at the library again, because that's really the only thing you do. Noble Joe continues his studies as he studies in the blocks. Well, kinda lazy. Go meet up with Ryuji. Kind goes and takes care of his plant before cleaning the blocks. This makes it a very efficient day. Well, also, Lazy's doing Ryuji so he can get the bonus. Gutsy decides to improve his health, because he's very gutsy. Joe Charmer goes to do his day job and sees Ryuji is there, getting a bit of friendship points with him. And also reads his book, because he's a very charmful guy. We come back to Ren, who decides to send his calling card today. That means tomorrow would be the earliest time you can go to finish the palace. That's going to be a big day tomorrow. And finally, Lazy goes to sleep. Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 12 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is a very heavy-duty day. Starting out with Pro Joe. Pro Joe, after completing the palace yesterday, decides to send out their calling card on a nice rainy day. He will then do the palace tomorrow. He will decide to make a few more tools to make sure he's fully prepared for the palace. Noble Joe is a bit late to the party, but after a bit of talking, he gets one to get and goes to the palace. But speaking of some stuff, this is also the perfect day we can do the book on the train. And now we caught up to Noble as he finished the palace by going to the will seat and finding the treasure. That makes it a very good day for him, as he's very well done. He also studies for his exams, because he's a very smart boy. Going on to Kindly, he's wait a little bit longer and make sure he's fully prepared for the palace. He reads a nice big book on the way to the train, increasing his kindness, but there are no other activities to improve kindness, he and Gutsy go study at the library. But going back to him, he calls out his friends about things and goes hang out with Sojiro. Also, Gutsy does the same thing, as there's nothing to do in LeBlanc's to raise her guts. And then, does that Charmer still needs some more money, so he decides to go, after reading a nice book to increase his charm, finishing it up from yesterday, decides to head to his day job and make a bunch of money. And it also increases kindness, or charm. Finally, we go back to Red, who decides not to read a book, and after sending the calling card yesterday, he heads into the palace.
the big battle. We get our treasure on the earliest possible day, and after losing friendship with Morgana, the boss fight with Kamoshida begins. After a nice hard battle, and after a moment of fighting Kamoshida and covering some of her old trauma. But after that, we head off for the day, get our way in. This is a very efficient day, and Lazy reads no book and goes to bed. Thank you for coming.
Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 13 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is another day where we just get everything done for everybody. Today Pro has sent out the calling card 1 day late compared to Ren, but that's not going to be a problem as he has batter swing and he's now all ready to go. He heads into the palace, finds a treasure pretty easily, and befriends Morgana. After that, we get confronted by King Kamoshida and get ready for another big dramatic battle. We defeat him easily and get your moment with him, which we skip today. But we escape the palace basically unharmed, and we now get started on the waiting game as to see if everything works out fine. But you know, it works. And it's about cutscenes. I might skip them or might not. We also make some more tools. Noble decides to send out the calling card today, and because he's now ready. And does a bit more studying on the side, just to make sure his big brain is working. Kindness decides to go into the palace today. Very late, but very prepared. As they find all the will seeds with ease, getting the nice necklace, and after that he finds the treasure and gets prepared for going to set out the calling card tomorrow. And as a final thing, he decides to clean up LeBlanc's again, as the plant is fine. Guts decides to train and study to make sure he's ready. Charm does his day job, and thanks to LeBlanc being nice, we get to go out and bathe. Red is now free to do whatever he wants. Decides to start the Death Confidant, and stuff. He's gonna focus mostly on the Phantom Thieves, but there wasn't many Phantom Thieves things to do today, so he's off the Death Confidant, and after calming down everybody, we start the Hierophant Confidant with Sojiro. And with that, we end with Lazy. Thank you for coming. Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 13 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today we're doing a lot of interacting stuff. And so today, Pro, after finishing his palace, decides to hang out with Ryuji, because that rank 7 bonus be going crazy. The ability to kill personas by just running into them is so good that I'm not playing the game without it. So, sorry. Also, we decided to interact with Sojiro to continue a social link. Noble decided, after sending the calling card yesterday, decides to go finish the palace today. And after making his way into the treasure room, he and making friends with Morgana, they get into a confrontation with King Kamoshida and start the next big boss fight. After winning with ease, they make the end, decides to spare him, and we escape the castle. This makes it a very efficient day for Noble, but he's still not done with what he's doing today. He decided to study a little bit more. Kindness decides to go and send the calling card today, which it also cleans the place. And next up is supposed to be Gutsy, who decides to go into the palace today. He finds all 3 of the willow seeds with minimal ease and finds his way to the throne room. Good for him. And next up, we got after a bit more studying, because why not, Charmer also goes to the bathhouse. And we go to Red, who interacted with Ryuji this morning, decides to continue a social link with Sojiro. And we get a bit of hints of future characters. And stuff like that. It was a very efficient day after everything he's done. Finally, we go to Lazy, who also interacts with Ryuji today, getting a bit further ahead of everybody, because, like I said, that rank 7 bonus go crazy, though. And so, even though it's a bit of work for Lazy, he decides to do it. And after all that, he goes to bed. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 15 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is another day through the Kamoshida arc. We get a question at school, and we get it right because we're smart. Bro, after done with his stuff at the palace, does baseball. Nobuo decides to get started on some social links. Interacting with Ryuji in the morning, progressing his storyline, and it's a very emotional stuff. But his knowledge allowed Ryuji to, get over his stuff and help him along with his journey. And, do a little bit of exercise in the process. You gotta work both your body and brain. Nobuo also interacts with Sojiro and starts his social link. He had nothing better to do. And so with that, he befriends Sojiro, and that's that. Kindly Joe goes to the palace, and he does so. He has a nice big interaction with everybody, progressing work on the social link, and after that, the big battle gets right on away. His kindness allows him to know the way forward. And with Anne's big moment happening right after, we go ahead and escape the palace. Barely, thanks to Ryuji. But that's that. And that's to calm everyone down. It's hoping for the best for the future. He heads home and cleans Sojiro's shop to increase his kindness. And then we go to Gutsy, who finally sends out his calling card, as he's now brave enough to face the dangers in the palace. He also does a bit of studying so he doesn't fall behind. Charmer, after making a bunch of money and making sure he's fully stocked up, heads into the palace. And after Anne gets her name, we find all the will seeds. And with that, we find a treasure. His charm led him away, and he now is prepared to send out the calling card tomorrow. And, all that. He also decides to study as well, just because he wants to make sure he's fully prepared. Ren, after having been to Palace a few days ago, decides to study at the library to increase both his kindness and multiple stat, and he also interacts with Sojiro. Lazy, after rushing home, also decides to interact with Sojiro just to make sure he has room to do so. Well, thank you all for coming, and I'll hope to see you all again. This is iRoll Kings. Hello everybody, and welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 17 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is the end of the main guys doing the palace, but we get asked another question, and we did it. Pro does his thing to show he's fully prepared for future events, and Noble Joe goes and studies because he wants to be as smart as possible. Not much to do to increase your intelligence on most days, so he just studies for both days. Kindness also studies in the morning, and then interact with Sojiro at night. Like I said, not much you can do to increase your kindness during the day. So it's kind of a hint to Futaba in this part, and we will be meeting her later. But at that, if we move along, after a final call with him, because these things happen, Gutsy goes and interacts with Ryuji to progress his storyline, because that rank 7 bonus is way too good for me to pass up. I
will not be playing this game without the ability to just run into personas and kill them instantly. That ability's way too good, so we do a bit of running with Ryuji and help him get over his past trauma. And with that, we move along. And, make sure to let him know we're okay. And then, Charmer finally goes to the palace today. With their charm and all their money, they are fully ready for the dungeons ahead. And with that, we head in, find the treasure, and see Morgana be a little freak. But other than that, we progress his social link and start a boss fight with King Kamoshida for the second to last time. Because Lazy's gonna take a little bit longer because he's lazy. And he's not ready to do it just yet. But with that, we have Anne do her thing of showing off her cool power against the evil man. But we convince him to be a better person and escape the palace. Ryuji almost dies, but he's fine. And then, there's not much to do on these days. So, after calming everyone down that we got this, we go home and study because there's not really much. You can't leave the house after our palace. Ren decides to study because he's a bit behind on everything. Being the first one to go to the palace and everything. He also decides to try and progress Sojiro a little bit more by just hanging out with him. Thank you for coming. Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 16 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is a pretty boring day, and Pro goes and does his things of baseball and making tools. And Knowable Joe goes and interacts with Tai Takemi to start her social link. Like I said, there's not much to do on days where on weekends you can't really increase your intelligence, so he decides to reach his second best stat, guts. But he then goes and studies because he wants to be the smart boy. Kindness decides to interact with Ryuji today, and stuff happens with Ryuji's old friend turning on track team. But with his kindness, Ryuji gets along and moves along. And we get to rank 3. He then goes home, and a bit more with Ryuji, and goes to clean LeBlanc's place. And that's that. Gutsy, with his bravery, rushes into the palace and finally wins the treasure. This is easy for him because he's very big-hearted and brave, getting to rank 2 with Morgana, and after his attack from the evil king, we move on to his boss fight. Everyone's big and prepared, and with his big bold heart, we defeat the king, and Anne has no moment. But thanks to her friends and her own kindness and bravery, he is there, and we move on. We escape the collapsed castle, and that's that. After a bit of conversation, I guess Gutsy just goes home and studies as well. Which is good for him. He also, because, Charmer decides to go send out the calling card. But the problem is, Lazy also had to come here on this day due to the thing. Ren, after a few days of interacting with social links, decided to increase his social stat. He goes work at the convenience store to increase his charm, because that's really the only thing he can do this day. And so he does. And then he goes home and cleans up does some laundry after so long. And finally, Lazy just goes home, interacts with Sojiro, and goes to bed. Welcome to iRoll Kings. This is day 19 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today, we have no palace stuff, but everyone's doing their own thing. Mostly everybody interacts with Ryuji this day because that rank 7 bonus is way too good for me to pass up. So, basically everybody this day goes and interacts with him and gets to rank 4.
which is the maximum you can do before the next palace. This allows, well, rank 3 and then to rank 4. But, it's just a thing. We don't got much else to do, but Pro goes plays some baseball after he's done hanging out with Ryuji. Noble Joe goes and studies up after hanging out with Ryuji. Kindly decides not to interact with Ryuji and decides to study instead. Just make sure he's not fully behind on intelligence. And all that. And then he goes and, makes some coffee at LeBlanc's, which allows him to get some charm and also progress Sojiro's social link the next time that they get the chance to. And with that, things just move along nice and smoothly. Also, making the coffee really helps a lot. Yes, he decides, after interacting with Ryuji, watch his show, which increases his guts. And Charmer does his day job because he got nothing better to do. Because, he likes to do his thing. He also deals with the customers very well, getting a big boost in his charm, and a good amount more money, and then goes home to watch his show. With that, he progresses very fast. Ren decides to, after hanging out with Ryuji, progress Sojiro's social link even further. So, he does his thing. That coffee's really nice, and Ren's gonna focus on his social links with the fantasies and Sojiro and Dev. Because that's what you do when you're a good team leader. Finally, Lazy, after calming down Morgana, goes to bed. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody and welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 20 of the Persona 5 Day Tracker. This is going to be the last day of no palace stuff for the Kamoshida arc. As we, I guess, when you get to decide what you do in the morning. Pro did his normal thing and increases his proficiency. Noble Joe goes and studies up, as that's really all you can do. No social links open up to increase your intelligence, no activities either. Kindly gets a movie, interacts, goes study as well, and he interacts with Sojiro. Just doing his best. Also, we get kind of a hint of Futaba today. That makes us very excited because once we get to rank 4, he will be locked us out until we can recruit Futaba in 5 months. Gutsy decides to go see his best girl, Tadakemi, and does some testing for her medicine. This is what he does today, and because it's the social link with no dialogue, it's a bit longer than most of the other ones. But he gets through it because he's a brave man, and he can talk down this cop, as Tai had a false report called on her. And, all that kind of stuff. He also gets called back to do this later. Good for him. And that, after increasing his guts and getting a call from her to make sure he's okay, because, he is. He also does the training, because, he wants to make sure he's bulked up. He's a bulky boy. And so he will occasionally do that. Charmer goes and works his day job, at the convenience store. He tries to do this as often as possible. He also takes a bath because he wants to be clean. Ren decides to work at the flower shop to increase his kindness, as he wants to make sure he can befriend and Akamaki when that opportunity presents itself. He also interacts with Sojiro to try and progress him along. Lazy goes to bed. Thank you for Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 18 of the Persona 5 Day Tracker. We're done with the palaces for a while, so everyone's doing their own things, like Pro going to play baseball for all day, and then Noble Joe going to study. He's very ready to do his own thing, and he wants to ace that exam. He also increases his guts at the same time, due to that the only way to increase his intelligence. So he does that. Kindly just hangs out with Sojiro, that's the only thing he can do. Because he decides to watch a movie. He's just gonna relax. He did all the big, scary stuff already, and he's ready to just head out. He'll watch his own TV show in his room. It's a parody of the X-Files. And all that stuff. Charmer also decides to
after being done with the palace, interact with Ryuji a bit more, and, using his charm helps Ryuji not, start a fight, as, Ryuji is known to do. But after all that stuff in the palace, he's ready to just relax, so, not wanting to start more conflict already, and all that. This is why we do our thing and get level 3 in the Chariot social link. We make our way home, assure Ryuji that we're fine, and all that. Yeah. And then we go and take care of the plant and watch a movie. Because, we do our thing. And we want to make sure our charm is as high as possible. Red also decides to study at the library. Because he doesn't want to be a Dumbo when school starts up again. Well, okay, I guess it is starting, but you know what I mean. The exams are coming up. And he also decides to make some tea to be able to progress Sojiro social link. So, he also increases his charm because he's a very charming man. And so, after all that, he gets a good grade from Sojiro. Because, he's good at his stuff. And finally, we meet Lazy Joe, who does his thing. Thank you for watching.
Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 21 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today, Lazy will do his thing at the palace, but Pro instead goes and does his thing. And he gets to rank 4. Basically almost maxed out. Noble Joe decides to go to Takemi to, meet with her and increase his guts. Because that's his second best stat. And he had really nothing else to do this day, so that's what he does, and moves along. And, might as well, Guts would be his second best stat due to one of the only studying areas also increasing your Guts during school time. Especially during this part of the game. So, he does that. And, having better medicine and better death personas is good anyway. So, he makes his way home after taking some trial medicine, and he and some others go and study at LeBlanc's place. Kindly Joe also decides to work at the convenience store to increase his charm. Because you need level 2 charm to work at the flower shop. So that's what he does. He goes to the first day at the convenience store, gets rank 2 in his charm, and then goes to Cleese LeBlanc's place. Well, with that, we move on to Gutsy, who decides to go watch a movie, and, all that kind of stuff. He also, Charmer also does his day job, and, all that kind of stuff. And he also takes a bath. We don't actually get to see Red in this episode, as he just repeats actions others do. But Lazy, now realizing that there's not much time left before he has to do stuff, decides to head on over to the, palace. He collects all 3 will seeds, pretty easily, as you watch everyone else do their thing. And, getting the cool treasure and collecting all the will seeds. This means, once he made his way to the treasure room, he's all ready to go. And, he'll do it at his own pace. But, now that he knows what he needs to do, he will make his way out of the palace, and thank you for watching. Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 22 of my Persona 5 day tracker. This is the end of April, so everyone's just doing their own thing, and we catch up with Pro as he does his normal thing of playing baseball. He also decides to study as he doesn't want to fail the exams coming up. Noble also studies. He got nothing much else to do, so he goes to school and he studies up. And now that he finished set with the Kamoshida arc stuff, he still gets stuff, but he will be ready soon. We go to Kindly, who also reads a book, and finally, after increasing his charm, he goes to work at the flower shop. And, finally get some good progress on increasing his kindness. Because it took me a while to remember that. He also cleans LeBlanc's place. Because, he's nice like that. And all that. Well, and Gutsy decides to read another book because, everyone else is kind of doing his thing anyway. Charmer goes to do his day job, getting a bunch of money. And, and also take a bath because you gotta take care of yourself, okay, man? Ren, after reading a book on the train, trying to keep himself fresh, round. He also had to go to talk to Cammy and progress her social link. This means testing new medicine for her, and also all that kind of stuff. She is prepared. She is a pretty good doctor, but we had to cover for her as people are trying to send false accusations at her. And so, we do that. Ren decided to do this because he wanted to increase his guts. Staying well-rounded, and also because he wants to focus on social links if he doesn't have palace stuff to do that day. And so, after a bit, gets to rank 2, and then makes his way out, staying well-rounded as possible. And, he might also do some stuff. He also makes some tools. Lazy had to send out the calling card today, as with the due date on the 2nd, he had to finish the palace on the 1st. So, after letting Ryuji do his thing, he heads to bed. Thank you for watching.